Title: 2026, The Year the Unstepped Altar. Author: Anthony Mwangi, The Branch Seated in Zion. There are moments in history when noise dominates a conversation, and then there are moments when silence does the selecting. 2026 is not a year that will announce itself loudly. It will not arrive with spectacle. It will not reward those who shout the most or move the fastest. 2026 is a year that will quietly ask a different question: who is aligned, and who merely climbed? Most people are trained to think in chronology, dates, seasons, timelines, but Scripture does not govern by dates alone. It governs by timing. Timing is not about when something happens. It's about whether you are positioned when it does. And that is why 2026 cannot be ignored. 2026, The Year the Unstepped Altar, by Anthony Mwangi, The Branch Seated in Zion, is not a book of predictions. It is a governance document. It does not attempt to forecast events. It reveals patterns, because in Scripture, patterns outlive predictions. Empires rise and fall, but patterns remain intact. Leaders change, systems collapse, movements fade. Yet the architecture of divine governance never shifts. At the center of this book is a quiet, easily overlooked pattern. 2026, a verse location that appears again and again across Scripture, in law, in leadership, in judgment, in transition, in resurrection. Not by accident, not by coincidence, but by design. Exodus 20 verse 26 introduces an altar without steps. God forbids elevation by flesh. He refuses ambition disguised as worship. Why? Because steps expose what should remain covered, and exposure always precedes collapse. John 20 verse 26 shows us something even more unsettling. The doors are shut, the system is sealed, and yet presence enters anyway. No force, no negotiation, no permission. Peace stands in the middle. This is authority that does not push. It arrived because it is already authorized. Job 20 verse 26 speaks of a fire not blown by man, a judgment that operates silently, internally, because before God removes publicly, he audits privately. Internal collapse always happens before visible change. Acts 20 verse 26 is Paul's final audit, a leader standing before transition, declaring clean hands, not popularity, not growth metrics, but accountability. In Scripture, leadership is measured not by reach, but by bloodlessness. Matthew 20 verse 26 overturns everything modern leadership celebrates. The greatest is a servant. Authority bears weight before it gains visibility. Service is not a stepping stone. It is the structure itself. And then there is 2 Chronicles 20 verse 26. The valley of Baraka, blessing after obedience, praise after warfare, not before, because God does not reward anticipation. He rewards alignment. This book weaves these moments together into a single governance arc, not inspiration, architecture. Each chapter does not lift emotion. It builds structure, because in 2026, inspiration will fail many people, but structure will hold. Here is the uncomfortable truth. 2026 will not be kind to misalignment. There will be quiet removals, systems losing relevance without explanation, influence without oil, exposed not by scandal, but by irrelevance. No announcement, no controversy, just replacement. Authority will move without ceremony. Garments will transfer without public acknowledgement. Steward will rise where performers once stood, not suddenly, but unmistakably. This book is not written to motivate ambition. It is written to remove the steps, to align motive, method, and message, to teach governance from rest, not reaction. Peace, in 2026, will become a strategic weapon. Non-reactive leadership will outlast aggressive systems. Fear-based governance will collapse under its own weight. This is why the book ends not with a call to act, but a call to stand, to host presence rather than chase platforms, to become a dwelling, not a display, because a name cannot be climbed toward. It can only be hosted. 2026, the year the unstepped altar, is not for everyone. It is not for those seeking visibility. It is not for those addicted to momentum. It is not for those who confuse movement with progress. It is for builders, for reformers, for leaders who sense a transition coming and refuse to meet it unprepared. It is for those who understand that the future will not belong to the loudest voices, but to the most aligned structures. In 2026, God will not ask who climbed highest. He will ask who removed the steps. This is not a message of urgency. It is a message of readiness. 2026, the year of the Unstepped Altar, by Anthony Mwangi, the branch seated in Zion. Position yourself. The transfer will be quiet,